Well, we told you yesterday that school districts now know how much funding they'll receive from the state for next school year. The legislation notably includes a 2% increase per student, as well as under other funding pieces. But what the House passed was more than what the Senate was offering. And as our Connor O'Neill tells us, Iowa school districts may need to look elsewhere to fund their budgets this fall.
Iowa school districts waited for months to hear the exact amount of school funding they'd receive from the state for the next fiscal year. Now, moving forward, they have an April 30th deadline to submit final budgets.
2% obviously is better than nothing, but it's going to be a struggle for a lot of districts.
Many districts had advocated for a greater funding increase the past few weeks to make up for rising costs and declining enrollment.
So when you couple that with inflationary costs, particularly the increase in health insurance premiums, 2% is going to be a struggle, but we're happy it's finally done.
But the Iowa Association of School Boards still says some districts needed more after what was passed, and will have to figure out other ways to meet budget goals.
They'll be making decisions about whether they can hire additional staff, whether they need to cut back on some programming or look for alternative ways to do that.
The state's bill provides school districts with a 2% increase in per pupil funding and an additional 5% increase per student in money districts receive from the state to pay for transportation costs. The state would also raise the number of positions school districts can share when facing a tight budget under its proposal. Piper added that 140 school districts will be on the budget guarantee list next year, meaning they'll have the same amount of funding as this year, but since they'll be short on state aid, they'll have to make that up through property tax increases. The state school funding bill has now passed through both the House and the Senate, and that legislation now heads to Governor Reynolds' desk where it awaits her signature. Reporting from the state capitol, Connor O'Neill, Local 5 News.
Individual districts like Des Moines tell us they're still waiting to see how they'll exactly be impacted by the SSA funding increase.